Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories like these. Now, let's get into today's story video. My little sister's 18 female best friend, 18 female, came on to me during a sleepover and we had. She wants to date me, 20 male. My younger sister has known her best buddy for around 7 years. Her buddy used to despise me, but as we grew older, I believe she developed feelings for me. To be more specific, I am roughly a year and a half her senior. She'll be 19 in a few months, and I just turned 20 last month. As we grew older, her buddy drew more close to me, and we became friends. She's attractive, polite, and an all-around wonderful person. I like her, but I have a feeling she's a bit too young for me. She and my sister spend a lot of time together at our house, and she comes over often. The strange thing is that we all attend to the same institution, so I see her buddy all the time. Her closest friend had been flirting with me for a long, and my sister had even informed me that she seemed to be interested in me. Anyway, she came here the other night to spend the night, and she and my sister hung out, and she invited me to join them. We had a nice time, and she was going to take my bed while I took the sofa. She phoned me to help her repair the TV, but she ended up seducing me and attempting to get me in bed with her. I was apprehensive because of her age and relationship with my sister, but she became tactile with me, so I went in and gave her what she wanted. We had some excellent and even fell asleep together for a little time till I had to go before everyone woke up. She then texted me and asked to speak with me. She said that she had emotions for me and that she liked me, and she also requested that we give it a try because she believes we might be something special together. She told me she wanted something serious and that she felt horrible seeing me with other females and that she wants it to be just her. I like her and all, but I don't want to be evaluated based on her age since she's a little young. Another factor is that I want to talk about it with my sister. So, what are your thoughts on the age difference and chatting with my sister? Story 2. My wife cheated on me, but only after I did. The destruction of a man. This, my friends, is a heartbreaking real story, and I'm not sure why I'm typing it or if anybody will read it. It's late at night, and I haven't slept in months. I've likewise been unable to discuss this with anybody, so maybe this is my way of sharing. To begin the tale, we must go back to July/August of 2015. My wife and I had relocated because I had enlisted in the Army. She'd never been away from her family before, and I imagined she felt lonely. She obtained a job and acquired some new pals. I was pleased for her, but it turned out to be our undoing. Every day she and Amy, not the girl's true name, spent together. Amy introduced her to drugs, which shattered our marriage. During this period, my wife seldom spent time with me or spoke to me much. She would shout at me in front of her buddy, and her companion would even berate me. This is when I made the fatal error. I went online and met a woman we'll name Bianca. Bianca was lovely, and clever. I hadn't made any friends in my unit, so it was wonderful to have someone to chat to who didn't seem to dislike the sight of me. I met Bianca around 2 weeks after we started talking online, and we slept together. My wife found out and was much more devastated than I had anticipated. It broke my heart to watch her weep. We agreed we needed some space, so she returned home for a week to be with her family. I expected her to spend this time to reflect on our marriage. As most of you would expect, she slept with someone else right away. They would meet almost every day, use pot, drink, and sleep together. After she returned, she lied about the romance for approximately a month. She continued changing her mind about it, telling me one day that they had slept together and the next that they hadn't, and that she had just told me that she had slept with him to make me upset and punish me for my transgression. My wife came home, and instead of therapy or even just sitting down and talking, she resumed berating me every day and spending her time with Amy. Amy was able to summon my wife away from me at any time of day or night for any excuse. It made me terribly envious, but I did not abandon the marriage. I'm handing up all of my passwords to everything. My phone was examined every day by her, but I didn't have the same level of access to her belongings. If I had, I would have discovered that my wife was still talking to the guy with whom she had slept every day. While I was at work or she was with Amy, they were video chatting. Every day, they texted back and forth. Everything from I love you to varied texts and movies. Let us fast forward to December. My wife and I seemed to be getting along well. Amy had mostly vanished from our lives when she quit using cocaine. We took a holiday and drove back home to see relatives for Christmas. 30 HR Drive. We joked, played games, and played old-school music from our youth. It was incredible. We agreed that she would keep the automobile and remain with her parents, while I would stay with mine. We are not wealthy and are still relatively young. My wife then went to see her friend Ashley, and guess what? They walked over to the man's place and smoked, drank, and even made out with each other to amuse the guy and his pals. Her and the man had once more. My wife and I went on a date the following day, and we spent Christmas Eve with my family. It was fantastic, and I had a terrific time. Apparently, once we returned home, she and the man, I'll give him a name, Charles, lost touch, but she had found a new passion back home, Matthew. Matthew is a much older guy. My wife is 20, he is 40. Matthew and my wife met on a dating website where she was sending naked pictures to anybody who messaged her. Matthew and my wife had met twice, one of which she had stayed the night. Her and Amy devised a scheme to fool me into thinking my wife was spending the night at Amy's. I noticed my wife's attitude had altered and she appeared pretty off a week after she spent the night at Matthew's. She suffers from bipolar disease. I asked her what was wrong one day when I came home to get something for work, and she informed me she slept with Charles again while we were home in December, and she recently slept with Matthew. I was heartbroken, but I had to go to work. About 20 minutes later, I received a call from my wife's workplace stating that she had not arrived for work. I contacted her, but she did not answer. I eventually called our neighbors, who went to check on my wife. I got a call back indicating that my wife had requested to be sent to the emergency department. She was suicidal, didn't seem to be reacting, and seemed distant. I hurried to the emergency department and stayed in silence with her for 5 hours before she was admitted to the hospital's mental unit on the base where I work. I visited her in the mental unit every day, sitting with her for hours. She rejected the meds and was experiencing severe auditory hallucinations. Her marijuana and cocaine usage, according to the psychiatrist, exacerbated her bipolar condition. Furthermore, the last psychiatrist she saw gave her medicine, which exacerbated her bipolar disease. Instead of a mood stabilizer, they gave her an antidepressant. She was sent to a civilian hospital since she was a citizen at a military hospital and denied care. I couldn't see her as often as I used to, but I did go to see her and cuddle her. Of course, we couldn't discuss about her adultery or decide if we should be together at this period. 3 weeks later, she was freed, and we felt it was best for her to be surrounded by family, so we sent her home. Back home, she continued to take her medicine, enrolled in college, and found work. We don't communicate much because, well, I was upset and didn't know whether I wanted to be with her. She stated she was done with cheating and apologized. In May of 2016, she came to see me for a week. It went better than I expected. We chatted, and she admitted that she hadn't spoken to Charles at all. I trusted her and conducted some study on bipolar infidelity before deciding to forgive her and attempt to heal our relationship. I cheated on her as well after forcing her to relocate hundreds of miles away from her home. I'm not one to blindly believe, so I decided to go into her Facebook and discover that she has looked up Charles around 3-4 times a week since she came back home, but there have been no communications between them on Facebook. I decided to access my Verizon account and see who she'd been messaging. In April, I noticed she had contacted Charles multiple times. They texted and spoke on the phone for hours. I questioned my wife YET again whether she had spoken to any males since she had returned home. She informed me that Charles had contacted her, but she had ignored it, sensing that I had dredged up information. Needless to say, when I probed her, her tale shifted and unraveled. She claims she eventually called him to get marijuana and ended up smoking with him. She claims they never had and that she only saw him once. According to the records, they ceased chatting on April 29th. They chatted on the phone for an hour TWO times on April 29th. And then my wife phoned him 9 times in a row, and he never responded or answered, and they haven't spoken since. About a week ago, I video chatted with her and ordered her to contact him on speakerphone. They converse, and he admits that they did not have in April. However, my wife and I were disconnected for around 2 minutes on the initial call before she called me back. So there's a 2-minute gap, and she's previously shown that she's skilled at deception. Her rationale for checking him up on Facebook is that she had stopped communicating to him and wanted to make sure he didn't publish any of their images or videos. I realize it makes no sense, but whatever. She claims they haven't spoken since April, that she regrets everything, and that it was foolish of her to smoke with him and see him again. She has evolved. She has made an effort, but I can't seem to sleep well anymore. I still don't have any friends here, and I've been sleeping on the sofa since my wife was admitted to the hospital. I've been really hating myself for cheating on her and blaming myself for everything. I didn't speak to her enough after she came out of the hospital and drove her back to Charles. If I hadn't been weak and cheated first, she would never have slept with or ever met Charles. Now, on Reddit, you've read my condensed account of events. I'm not sure whether I'm looking for guidance or if I simply wanted somewhere to vent. I'm feeling a lot better now. I'm hoping to get some sleep tonight. This is my first Reddit post, and I'm not sure if anyone will read it. Please leave a remark, or anything if you read it. Tough love is welcomed, as is hatred, and even the Darude sandstorm remarks would be appreciated in breaking up the despair, suffering, and loneliness that has become my existence.